Throughout the ages, most households have been in charge of a significant portion of their own food production. Now, that has changed only in the last couple of 100 years. But as food prices go up, as food riots break out, and the food supply becomes ever more tainted, if not toxic, perhaps it's time to return to the traditions of yesteryear at some point in the very near future. Home gardening may no longer be just a great hobby. For millions of Americans, it could very well become a necessity. Here are the three major reasons why that's so. Reason number one, food prices are going up, 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 and they may never come down again. Thieves steal rice right from the fields. Hijackers loot trucks carrying flour, milk, and juice on their way to the supermarkets. Lethal fights break out in the bread lines. People are trampled to death in the frenzied rush caused by a sale of cooking oil. These scenes were repeated in the world over in 2008 as food shortages caused unrest and riots on every continent. And it's only the beginning. Now, we don't need economists to tell us that 2008 wasn't an isolated event. Case in point, 2011 started off with food riots in North African country of Tunisia, which sits on the Mediterranean, just a short boat ride from Italy. The government declared a state of emergency as thousands of protesters converged on the capital. They were protesting the high prices of staple food products such as sugar, milk, and bread. The president vowed to reduce prices on these vital items, but it was too little, sadly, too late, as the crowd demanded his ouster. Tunisia's prime minister appeared on television to announce that he was assuming power, essentially relieving the embattled president of his office. And so it goes. Food prices around the world continue to rise at an unsustainable rate. In January 2011, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, or the FAO, reported that its food price index jumped 32% in the second half of 2010, the highest such single jump since 2008. Now, this jump put food prices at the highest levels ever recorded since FAO began tracking food staple prices in 1990. FAO economist Abdulreza Abassane declared that food prices were going again to enter into, quote, danger territory, end quote. 44 million people have been driven into extreme poverty since mid-2010, due solely to increases in the cost of wheat, corn, and oil, according to the World Bank. Now, food, or lack of it, fueled dramatic public protest in Egypt in February of 2011. Egyptians were crying out against skyrocketing food prices and the Mubarak government's lack of response to the crisis. On January 28, 2011, the international credit rating firm Fitch Ratings downgraded Egypt's outlook to negative, and specifically cited the high inflation of food staples, which it says is running at 17% a year as one of the prime reasons for that downgrade. Beyond Africa, a similar food inflation rate, 18%, is plaguing India. Population giants Russia and China are seeking massive imports of grain and corn to feed people and livestock. Closer to home, Mexico is buying corn futures to stave off unmanageable spikes in tortilla prices. The United Kingdom is also experiencing historic highs in grain prices. Now, how will all of this affect you? Despite the crisis occurring in most of the world, the United States is not currently suffering to the same level, at least not yet. In the developing world, people spend a much higher percentage of their income on food than we do here in the United States. In some countries, as much as 50%, a full half of a person's income goes just to put food on the table. Think of that, 50%. Fluctuations in price have a much more immediate and dramatic impact on them than they do on us, where the official figures say we spend on average about 10% of our money on food. But this low number is misleading. Lower income Americans can and do spend in the range of 30 to 40% of their income on food. In 2010, American food prices officially rose approximately 1.5%. Now, the U.S. Department of Agriculture is predicting that food prices here in the U.S. will rise 2 to 3% in 2011. While this is not earth-shattering, it would still be up to twice the rate of general inflation here in the U.S. These figures, however, don't really give an accurate picture of what's going on, and we're going to talk about that more here shortly. Gwen Kripke, the policy director of Oxfam America, warns that this relatively modest rise is a mere polite warning of what is to come. Think about that, a polite warning of what is to come. The Department of Agriculture's chief economist, Joseph Glauber, has said that the rising cost of agricultural products will likely hit American consumers the hardest, with a sharp increase in meat and dairy products. As the cost of feed for livestock increases, farmers usually reduce the size of their herds, leading to lower production levels of beef, pork, and dairy products. Currently, 40% of the corn produced is used for animal feed. And indeed, prices for these items rose faster in 2010 than for other food products. Glauber predicts the trend will continue into the future as prices for agricultural products continue to rise as global supplies contract. In a 6-month period from 2010 to early 2011, global corn future prices rose from $3.50 to $7 a bushel. Good for corn farmers, bad for cattlemen, dairies, consumers, and you and me.